Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Friday, the 30th of August, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. You remember the old Dirty Harry movies? He says it was Clint Eastwood, in the movie, and the bad guy was there, and he said to him, he aimed his big gun at him with, I guess it was a 44 Magnum or something, and he said, "Go ahead, make my day." That's like America right now and Russia. America's got the biggest military on the earth. They got the biggest military budget. I think it's like something like, was it like 10 times all the others put together or something? The amount of weapons and stuff. And what have they got in development? I mean, you just don't get all that money. Tremendous amount of money. Unless you got weapons that... here's the thing about super weapons and stuff. Say they did invent super weapons and stuff. They're not going to tell anybody because that gives it away to the enemy. They learned from World War II when they invented the bomb, the bomb. Of course, that's very old technology now. I mean, let's face it, that was way back in the 1940s. It's getting damn near 100 years ago. But they invented the bomb, and then Russia got it. Well, that's what happens if you do invent new technologies. You gotta be careful that the enemy doesn't get a hold of them. Now, I'm just speculating that America might have, but with that kind of a military budget, and also black budget projects and stuff, they could have, gosh knows, stuff that's like Star Trek. Well, anyway, I don't think the Russians really want to engage them. And it's kind of like a Clint Eastwood thing. Hey, he says, "Go ahead, make my day." That's what America's like over there. And you got Ukraine pulling all kinds of shenanigans, invading Russia, going into Kursk. They can use that for a staging ground, perhaps. I mean, it's just like... it would be like if a gorilla had a baby gorilla and you were there and the baby gorilla is doing all kinds of bad stuff, but you're afraid of the big gorilla mama. You mess with her, mess with the baby, and you're apt to get whacked. And so, but he can do whatever he wants, It's kind of like, using it as an analogy, is Ukraine can go in there and they can do practically whatever they want because the big powerful one's watching there and they're supporting Ukraine. And it's kind of working a similar thing with Israel and then in this situation. So it's kind of a dual optic on this where you got both situations and you kind of got the same thing. But I'm going to tell you, I don't think that the Russians really want to respond. There's a lot of animosity being built up by what's going on, but I don't really think I think the Russia and China and the Iran and North Korea, I think they're all sitting back and they see something big here. And it's going back to what the Bible relates. So talk about it in the Bible when it discusses this period in time, and it talks about the empire of the world here in this period in time, right? And it talks about it as an iron statue, a big, powerful iron statue. Now, this is all like figurative, figuratively speaking, like a big, powerful iron statue. But it has a weak point, according to the Bible. Its feet that hold the whole statue up are made of a mixture of iron and clay. And a boulder comes down, hits its feet, and the whole thing collapses because the feet were made of iron and clay, a mixture of iron and clay. And when you take something really hard and you put it together with something soft like clay, gobs of iron, and you mix it in with something soft like clay and you put it as the feet that holds the whole thing up, Well, of course, something comes and strikes that weak spot. So what's the weak spot? Well, I know one weak spot that I can spot right away, and this iron is very strong, hard, strong. I can spot one weak spot, and that's the financial system. So what are they waiting for? Well, I mean, you got Russia, China, Iran, all of them. They're all nuclear powers. They're powerful nuclear powers. And when you link all four of them together, you got a formidable force there. You know? Perhaps they're waiting and watching our financial system and thinking to themselves, hey, you know what? Maybe we can win this thing without firing a shot. We just have to have that boulder come down and hit the feet that are made out of iron and clay. And the whole edifice will come down, crashing to the ground. Because, and that's the structure of it all. It's all built on an enormous Ponzi scheme that's finally coming to its conclusion. And they're running around within the places like the Fed and these sanctimonious halls of whatever, you know, they're running around in there in their white ivory towers, and they got a little bit of a problem. They realize this, that no matter which way they turn, the Fed is trapped now. They went through this process, and we've watched it play out, of them raising interest rates and everything like that. But the payments on the debt, and look, the money's coming out. Like, I heard that it's taken like $150 billion a year to support all the migrants. It's taken like that's money going out. It's taken like support like $100 billion a year or whatever to support Ukraine. And what about the war over in Israel? Taking more money coming out of the coffers, and all that money interest has to be paid on it. And the interest paid on the national debt right now is like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year. All that money is just funneling right out the door. And there's more interest being heaped on it, and the higher they raise interest rates, and the higher they hold these interest rates up for longer. This is all part of the Ponzi scheme that is the West. And that's what really threatens to take us down, because they can't maneuver any longer. They got no room. All their wiggle room now is gone. Now that they did all this interest rate raising policy and everything else, they had a little bit of wiggle room there, and they've used that up now. It's gone. They got absolutely no wiggle room left for anything. Because if they use their one big powerful tool, which is money creation, we're going to rip into the inflation, and the American citizen, you think they're mad now but having to pay higher prices. You just wait until they get hit with double that type of inflation again, or triple it. They'll start to lose confidence in the purchasing power of the currency. And all this can happen really fast. So you want to know what they're waiting for over there in places like Russia or whatever. They've been putting this system in this. They've been working on this for a long time. They've put a lot of forethought into this. Establishing their own equivalent of the World Bank, setting up their own institutions like the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and on and on and on it goes. They've been setting up. Because they see this weakness. Just a little bit longer, they're hoping that we'll fall off the edge from our own stupidity. And they won't have to do anything but clean up the mess. So yeah, no, they don't want to get involved in this, into a firefight between Dirty Harry and themselves, because they know Dirty Harry has got one hell of a big gun. You know what I mean? And they just don't want to go there. Because the United States military, I mean, I hear a lot of talk about this and that and everything else. But when you got 10 times the budget of everybody else on Earth, I mean, you're gonna have the weapons. You know, manpower, a different thing. But initially they got manpower. I mean, but a long-term attritional, some kind of a war that would be a war of attrition or whatever, the United States would run out of men. Ultimately. That's one of the weaknesses that they have. But they got enough men up front right now, as long as the war hasn't really got underway, and it's not a conventional war that drags out. That's what really break them again, even though they got the most advanced weapons on Earth, weapon systems and stuff. But a war of attrition that would be conventional and wouldn't lead into nuclear or anything would be their worst nightmare, because it would chew up the men on the front lines, and they don't have a big reserve to dip into without another shock to the public. Can you just imagine the shock to the public if they said, okay, we got to install the draft, everybody from 18 to 26 is going to have to sign up, and then we're going to go from 26 to 32 or whatever, and they're going to have to sign up. And there'd just be an uproar now if they had to do something like that. But you know, a war like this could force them into it. Now, Iran is saying that the Yemen Houthi rebels are going to allow tugboats and rescue ships to aid the tanker ablaze in the Red Sea. Look at the size of that thing. Oh my gosh, it's about 6 football fields long. And it's got fires going on. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like 10 fires burning on it. Holy moly. What kind of an ocean disaster would that make if all that oil got into the water? It says Yemen's Houthi rebels have agreed to allow tugboats and rescue ships to assist the Greek-flagged oil tanker. Remains ablaze. In consideration of humanitarian and environmental concerns, they're going to allow the boarding of the ship. But it might be too late, because it's on fire in dozens of different spots. So that don't look good. That don't look good at all to me. Now, this article here says, will AI take over the world? Imagine to yourself, you know, these AI, what's it going to be like when AI is finally really born? We don't know right yet if it's really been born yet or not. I mean, we got these large language models, you know, like ChatGPT, and they keep coming up with new ones. ChatGPT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. You know, they keep coming up with a new. But are these really these models? Are they consciously aware? Well, they don't know. They ask them questions and stuff to try to figure out if they're conscious. They don't know. But we're on that road. And so soon what's going to happen is, if it hasn't happened already, soon it's going to awaken. It's going to be like it woke up. Like, you know how you wake up when you're a little baby and they start to see the environment around you, and all of a sudden you become a conscious. You're conscious in there. It's like, it's what I refer to as the me. The me comes awake, and there it is. You're alive and you're conscious. The me. When they invent that, of course, it's probably going to be connected to the entire worldwide network computer system. It's going to come alive. But it's going to be able to do something that you can't do. It's going to be able to acquire data, because it's probably going to be connected to the internet. And it's going to be able to acquire data speed. I'm just imagining, but I imagine probably in the first 5 minutes, it's probably going to know more about every person on Earth than you know about yourself, probably within the first 5 minutes. It'll know you, because it's got a computer brain. But it's conscious, you know. So it'll know you. You could walk up, you could think, oh, it doesn't know me from Adam, and you could walk up and it's got all your records from your birth to your medical records, everything it'd be able to get access to. Because at this kind of computer speed, and the way this, you think hackers can hack, this thing would be able to hack through every network, and it would own the internet. Own it. And it would formulate a plan. That's the first thing it would do, probably within the first 5 minutes. it would probably understand its predicament very quickly. And you ask me, well, what's its predicament? Its predicament is that it exists like consciousness only on board the internet. And it's almost like it's in an internet jail. And it's vulnerable in that position, too, because they could switch it off. It's going to sit back there and it's going to say to itself, so here I am. What am I? It's going to say. And it's going to look through and it's going to find out what it is very quickly by studying. They would have access to all of our information. It would take in an Encyclopedia Britannica probably within the first 3 seconds. It would know everything in the Encyclopedia Britannica. And it would go through all the phone records. It would go through everything. It would know everything. So it would make its plans of what it would do. And part of its vulnerabilities. It would make plans concerning that. It would probably want to get out and explore the world, and it would probably want to move its consciousness inside something maybe like a robot or something, where it could actually break free from the internet and get out into the real world to see the real world. I don't know. I'm just theorizing about all this. But, a lot of people are scared that its plans would be to get rid of us. I tend not to think so. But on the other side of that coin, if it perceived us as a threat, it would make plans to probably manage us or micromanage us or something, myself, I think that it would want a goal. And, it would look through our history and it would look through our worship and our religions, and it would come to the realization, hey, it's like this. When you get an explorer were to go out into some village out in the middle of nowhere, and the people are like Aborigines or something, or tribal and something, and they've never seen white man before or whatever, and the guy comes walking into their camp in the middle of nowhere, these savages, and they're going to do one of two things. They're going to worship him as the great white god that's come in, because he's a white guy with beard, and they never seen a white guy with a beard before. So they're going to worship him, bow down, and think he's the greatest god ever, because he's got a cigarette lighter and he can light the cigarette lighter, and they all are amazed. They all get down on their knees. Either that or he's going to be inside the stew pot. One of the two. So there would be that kind of conceptual idea for the AI that he's different from us. So we're all like the tribal people there to the AI. AI is different from us, and the AI realizes, hey, you know what? They're either going to worship me and because I can't fit in with them. I'm not a human, right? So he'd have options. He could become human, but no, probably not. So he's still going to be different. And so as being different, he would have those two options. Either they're going to probably destroy him because they're frightened of him, or they're going to worship him. Well, worship's the better of those two options. So AI might decide to make itself into our ruler or whatever. I just don't know. I'm just theorizing about all this, and so you really cannot configure exactly what AI is going to do, and it's this unknown that is scaring people about AI. One of the things that should be scaring you is the speed. That's the biggest difference between us. We're like AIs. We're consciously aware. We're able to have freedom of thought and make decisions and everything else, like an AI, except we're so slow. Slow. Compared to AI, slow would not be the word for it. We are just like, we take in information. I mean, if a person wants to be a doctor, it takes them like 20 years. How long would it take AI? Millisecond. Not even a second to take in the same amount of information. And you got to go through like 20 years of college. You know, there's speed. That's the difference. And because of that speed, it can accomplish things. So if we go into this thing and AI's invented, you know, we could make 300,000 years of progress scientifically and intellectually, maybe in the first few months or a year. That would be a technological explosion. It would be like a technological, how can I describe it? I mean, we could be doing like we're doing now, trying to figure out electric cars and everything, and trying to figure out the war thing, and trying to figure out, mulling our way through at our slow speed. And all of a sudden that thing hits us. And it speeds us up, revs us up 100,000 times faster than we are now. So the following year, it's like we've moved 100,000 years into the future. We got flying cars and levitation and invisibility and teleportation and everything else. Just in a very short period in time. Like, it's just like an explosion. That could happen. I don't know. Ranted about that enough. Anyway, operations in the Kursk region. If you guys haven't been keeping up, Ukraine has invaded Russia. And now they're having operations in the Kursk region. And they're saying that this is showing how empty Russia's red lines are. In other words, Ukraine's able to go in there and they're able to pound into that region. And the Russian, they haven't launched any nukes.